The Championship this season is looking extremely competitive, both at the bottom of the table and at the top of the table as well. So I'm going to go through my predictions for the remaining scores for all the teams in the relegation battle and in the promotion battle. And we'll see how I'm looking at thinking this Championship season is going to pan out. Starting off with... So, for Sheffield Wednesday, I have gone with first game at home to Charlton. I think it'll be a 3-1 loss. Then away to Middlesbrough, I think that'll be a 2-0 loss. Then away to Oxford, I think they're going to get a 1-1 draw. And finally, at home to West Brom, I think this is going to be a 2-0 loss. Then we have first, away at Portsmouth, I think they're going to lose 2-0. Then, away at Hull, I think they lose 2-0. Then, they're at home to Millwall, I think they get beat 3-0. And finally, away to Blackburn Rovers, I think they're going to get a 1-0 win. Then, we have first, away to Derby, I think they're going to get beat 2-0. Then at home to Wrexham, I think they lose 2-0. I've already mentioned at home to Sheffield Wednesday, they'll draw 1-1. And finally, away to Millwall, I think they're going to lose 2-1. Then we have away to Preston, I think they lose 1-0. Then they're at home to Watford, I think they lose 2-0. Then they are at home to Ipswich, I think they lose 2-0. And I've already mentioned they're away to Sheffield Wednesday on the last day of the season. I think they win 2-0. Now, Blackburn have only got 3 games left of the season, so I think they're going to start off by losing at home to Coventry 2-0. Then I think they'll lose away at Sheffield United 2-1. And finally, I've already mentioned they play at home to Leicester. Last game, I think they lose 1-0. So for Portsmouth, I have gone with already mentioned 2-0 home win over Leicester. Then I think they lose 2-1 to Coventry. Then I think they draw 2-2 with Stoke City. And finally, I think they draw 1-1 with Birmingham. Next up, we have... So I've already mentioned with Charlton, I think they're going to win 3-1 away at Sheffield Wednesday. I think they lose 1-0 at home to Ipswich. I think they draw 1-1 at home to Hull. And finally, away to Swansea, I think they're going to draw 1-1. That's the relegation teams. Now we move on to the teams in the promotion push, starting off with... I've already mentioned they play Oxford at home first. I think they win 2-0. Then we have Norwich away. I think they draw 1-1. Then they play QPR away. I think they draw 1-1. And finally, they play Sheffield United at home. I think they get a 2-1 win. Then we have... First, they play Stoke at home. I think they're going to win 2-0. Then they play Oxford away. I think they win 2-0. I've already said that one. Then they play Coventry away. I think they're going to draw 1-1. Then finally, it's Middlesbrough away. For the last game of the season, I think they win 2-1. I think Hull are going to beat Birmingham 1-0. Then I've already mentioned they go away to Leicester. They're going to win 2-0. Then I've already mentioned again, they play Charlton away, which I put as a 1-1 draw. And finally, they go Hull to play Norwich at home. And I've got them to win 2-1. They start off with Ipswich away. I think this game's going to be 1-1. Then they play Sheffield Wednesday at home. I've already mentioned, I think it's going to be a 2-0 win for Middlesbrough. Then they play Watford at home. I think they'll win 2-1. And I've already mentioned they play Wrexham at home for the last game of the season. I think they lose 2-1. Anyway, then we move on to... I think they'll beat Swansea away 3-1. Then I think they beat Bristol City at home 2-1. Then they play Ipswich at home, which I think will be a big 2-1 win. And finally, Preston away. I think they're going to win 2-0. Therefore, we're moving on to... I think Millwall will beat QPR 2-1. Then I think they beat Stoke away 3-1. And I've already mentioned the last two results. Away to Leicester, I think they win 3-0. And at home to Oxford for the last game, I think they win 2-1. Then move on to the team that are already in the automatic spots, which is... I think they're going to draw, like I already said, 1-1 with Middlesbrough. Then they play Charlton away. I think they win 1-0, already said. Then they play West Brom away. I think they win 2-0. Then it's Ipswich away to Southampton. I think they lose 2-1, like I already said. And the one game I haven't said already is QPR at home. I think they win 3-1. Finally, the team that already sealed their promotion, which is Coventry. I think they beat Blackburn 2-0 away. They beat Portsmouth 2-1 at home, draw 1-1 with Wrexham at home, and then I think they beat Watford 2-0 away. So, how does my overall table look? Bottom of the league, I have Sheffield Wednesday -4 points. Then, reading up, I have Leicester in 23rd on 44. Oxford 22nd, 45. So they're the teams that are going down. Teams survived. I have Blackburn in 21st on 48. West Brom in 20th on 49. And Portsmouth 19th, 53. And finally Charlton 18th on 54. Now, for the promotion battle, I've got in 8th place Derby, 71 points. 7th, and just missing out on the playoffs, Wrexham on 74 points. Then, 6th place, I have got Hull City on 78. Then, in 5th place, I have Middlesbrough on 79. Meaning Middlesbrough will be playing 4th Southampton on 84 points for the first playoff round. And Hull will be playing 3rd place Millwall, 85 points. Then, 2nd place, automatic promotion, will be Ipswich, 85. So, yes, 3rd and 2nd went down to goal difference. And finally, the title winners, 95 points. I think that'll be Coventry. Anyway, finally, I'm going to talk about how I think the playoffs are going to go. First round, I have Hull at home to Millwall. I think it'll be a 2-0 win for Millwall in the first leg. And then for Middlesbrough at home to Southampton, I think it'll be 3-1 Southampton in the first leg. In the second leg, I have Millwall 1, Hull 1, meaning Millwall will advance 3-1 on aggregate and go to Wembley for the playoff final. And they'll be joined by Southampton, who will get a 2-0 win against Middlesbrough. And I believe that will be our playoff final. Millwall versus Southampton. And I think the team going to the Premier League will be Southampton. I think they're going to beat Millwall 2-1 at Wembley to secure their promotion back to the Premier League. If you want to see me do this for the remainder of any other leagues, let me know in the comments below and I'll try and make it happen.